Good morning, everyone. Good morning and good morning. Thank you for joining me this morning. And I hoping everybody's having a beautiful day so far. So we are on Wrath. I did say I was gonna come back. I wasn't sure, but I did come back to give you Moses. Moses in Exodus, I think Exodus 32. I think it's 31 or 32. Okay, so this is gonna be a little lengthy today. I got, I apologize, but I'm trying to get as much as I can. I did try to break it down as much as I can, but I wanted you to get an understanding. And so, like I said, pause, come back, stop. So it's gonna be a little long. So we're talking about Moses, talking about the wrath. I just love these old stories. Okay, let's dive in. Let's get into it. So as we get into the sin of wrath, we find ourselves in the midst of an explosive moment. This is an explosive moment of the story of Moses and the Israelites. Wrath is a powerful emotion. It is on that it can lead to devastations, consequences. The tale of Moses breaking the tablet of the Ten Commandments is an anger unleashed after leading the Israelites out of Egypt. Moses climbed the Mount Sinai to receive God's commandments. He remained on the mountain communing with God and receiving instructions for his people. But down below, the Israelites grew restless when the people saw that Moses was taking too long to return. They gathered around Aaron, Moses' brother. Come make us a God who will go before us. They demanded. As for this Moses who brought us up and out of Egypt. So we don't know what happened to him. Fearful of losing his leadership, Aaron felt the pressure of the crowd demands. So then he proceeds, take off the gold earrings that your wives, your sons, your daughters are wearing and bring them to me. The people complied, stripping off their gold jewelry and handing it over with the shiny gold in hand. So Aaron melted it down and crafted it into an idol, a golden calf. When he finished, the people erupted with joy. These are your gods, Israel, who brought us up out of Egypt. They shouted, their hearts swelling with misplace. Seeing this, Aaron built an altar in front of the calf and announced tomorrow there will be a feast to the Lord. And the next day, people rose up early. Filled with excitement, they sacrificed burnt offering and presented fellowship offering. But the celebration soon spiraled out of control. They sat down, eat, and drank, indulging. That turned wild, their focus shifting entirely from God to their new, newly created idol. Meanwhile, on the mountain, God watched the scene unfold. He turned to Moses, who was still receiving the commandments. So go down, for your people whom you brought up out of Egypt have become corrupt. They have turned away from the path I commanded them and made them themselves an idol. Moses' heart sank as he heard the news. Anger surged through him, his mind racing as he come down from the mountain with the two stone tablets engraved with commandments of God. As he approached the camp, he heard the sound of celebration, laughter, music, mixed with shouting. And when he saw the golden calf and the people dance around it, his blood boiled. Woo, wrath! Wrath clouded his vision, and in a fit of rage, he threw down the tablets, shattered them at the foot of the mountain. The precious words of God lay broken in the dust. People rebelled. Moses marched straight to Aaron, his brother. How could you lead? How could you lead these people into sin, Aaron? Aaron trembling under Moses' glazed eyes. I was afraid, this is Aaron saying, I was afraid of the people. Moses shook his head. I'm not saying word for word, so that's why I need you to read. I'm just giving you the story. He shook his head in disbelief with his wrath boiling over. He shouted, whoever is for the Lord, come to me. The Levites rallied to his side, ready to take action. Moses commanded them. He commanded to go through the camp and strike down those who had led the rebellion. That day, 3,000 were lost victims of Moses' wrath. And then I just want to have the questions here for you. When you look at this chapter, why did Israel commit such an evil act at such a glorious time? This was a glorious time in their history. To begin with, they were impatient with Moses, who had been on the mountain with God. And impatient is often the cause of impulse action that are sinful. Israel didn't know how to live by faith and trust God, regardless of where their leader was, whether Moses was with them or away from them. They criticized him and ignored what he had taught them. Aaron and the tribal leaders were to blame because they didn't immediately turn to God for help and warn the people what would happen. Aaron and Hur had authority from Moses to lead his absence. We go back to chapter 24:14, and they were men who had seen God's mighty acts. They failed God and Moses. Instead of restraining the people, Aaron went along with them and gratified the desire of their sinful heart. I'm gonna put this. This has a lot to do with the 7 deadly sins. You have wrath here. You have lust here. You have greed here. So when you go back into this chapter and read this, we look at the verses 7-14. In leadership, the difficult experience with our people either makes us or break us. And Moses was about to be tested. God called Israel, your people, whom you brought out of the land of Egypt, as though the Lord were abandoning the nation to Moses. But Moses soon reminded him that they were his people and that he had delivered them. God had made a covenant with their forefathers to bless them, multiply them, and give them their land. Back in Genesis chapter 12. Moses intended to hold God to his word, and that what God wanted him to do. So you look on down to the verses from 9-10. The Lord then took a different approach. He offered to wipe out Israel and make a new nation out of Moses' descendants. A lesser man might have accepted this invitation, but not Moses. He loved his people, sinful as they were. And he wanted more than anything else to glorify the God of Israel and see him fulfill his promise. So when they get on down to verses 19 all the way down to 35, I just want to say, to wrap this up, sin is always costly. And Israel's sin had not only led to the death of thousands of people, but it had robbed the nation of the presence of the Lord in the camp and on their pilgrim journey to the promised land. So sin is costly, people. So I want to say, as I go, the story serves as a powerful reminder of how unchecked anger can lead to devastation, outcome affecting not only ourselves, but those around us. So this affected everyone. As we reflect on this moment, let it remind us to manage our emotions wisely. Wrath might be a natural response, but it can lead us to make choices we will regret. Instead, we should uh, strive for understanding, patience, and compassion, seeking to build rather than destroy. This is so good, you guys. And like I said, it leads to all. It touches other of the seven deadly sins. And I sure thank you for listening. Uh, as always, God love you. I love you. You stay true to yourself. You be truly, truly blessed.